So now today we're going to the next method of solving quadratics, and that's factoring. We already talked about how to solve by graphing, and now we're going to solve by factoring. I am going to show you an example where you are going to solve by factoring, and then what I'm going to do from there is we are going to look at, well, how can I do this by with a calculator? So if you will look, the first part says, how do we solve quadratics by factoring? And I give you the steps. Steps for solving by factoring. Write the quadratic in standard form and set it equal to 0. Then we're going to factor. And then you have to take each of your factors and set them equal to 0 and solve. Sounds like a lot, and it is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through example 1 step by step, showing you how to solve by factoring by hand. So again, first thing we have to do is we have to make sure our quadratic equation is in standard form. And remember, standard form is ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So as you can tell, our quadratic equation down here is not in standard form. So the first thing we need to do is take the negative 48 and move it to the left side. Well, the opposite of a negative 48 is a positive 48. So we are going to add 48 to both sides of our equation. And we get x squared plus 14x plus 48 equals 0. And now our quadratic equation is in standard form. From there we go to step 2, which means we're going to factor. Please remember that when you're factoring, the first step is to look for a greatest common factor. Since this is a 1 in front of the x squared, we do not have a greatest common factor. So we're going to do 1 times 48, which is 48. So we want all the factors of 48. And then the term in the middle is 14, so that we want a sum of 14. So we can start. It's 1 times 48, 2 times 24, 3 times 16, 4 times 12, and 6 times 8. Those are the factors of positive 48. Now, I'm going to take the same factors and add. Well, 1 plus 48 is 49, so that is not the pair that I need for my factors. 2 times 24, or 2 plus 24 is 26, so those are not our factors. 3 plus 16 is 19, so again, those are not my factors. 4 plus 12 is 16, and we want a sum of 14, so that pair does not work. And finally, 6 plus 8 is 14, which is what we want. So my factors, 6 times 8 are 48, and 6 plus 8 is 14. So when I take x squared plus 14x plus 48 equals 0, and I factor it, my factors are going to be x plus 6 and x plus 8. And together, when you multiply, they must equal 0. Now we go to step 3. If x plus 6 times x plus 8 is 0, then you know from your earlier years the only way to multiply to get 0 is if one of these values actually equals 0. So what you have to do is take each factor and set it equal to 0. So either x plus 6 equals 0 or x plus 8 equals 0. And then we solve. Well, to solve x plus 6 equals 0, the first thing you do is subtract 6 from both sides. And we end up with x equals negative 6. Or, to solve x plus 8 equals 0, the opposite of adding 8 is subtracting 8. And we have to subtract 8 from both sides. We get that x equals negative 8. So our solutions are x equals negative 6 or x equals negative 8. And that is how you solve a quadratic equation by factoring. Now, I know that's a little overwhelming for some of you, so what I've decided to do is we are going to look at how do we factor on a calculator. And it's a little tricky. So basically what we're going to do, you're going to turn on your calculator, and you're going to go, you can go to new document. So we're going to go to new document. And please again, do not save. And we're just going to go to the add calculator. From here, you're going to do menu. And if you look at your menu, I'll zoom in so you can see it a little better. We're going to go to number 3 because we're doing algebra. So 3, algebra. And then we're doing polynomials, so we're going to go to number 3, polynomial tools. And we are trying to find roots. So number 1, where it says find roots of polynomials, so you choose 1. All of our quadratics are of the degree 2, so we're going to leave it as 2. We want all our answers to be real numbers, so we're going to leave that. And we're going to click. And you get this, it appears on your calculator. Ax squared plus a1x plus a3 equals 0. And those are your standard forms. So you're just going to put in the coefficients. So if we look here at my problem, once I have it equal to 0, my coefficient, the number in front of x squared, is 1. So where it says a sub 2, we're going to put a 1. And then we're going to go down. A sub 1 is the number in front of x, so that's 14. So I'm going to type 14. And a sub 0 is the constant, and that's 48. So we're going to type in 48, and then we go OK. And it's asking you, do you want to find the polynomial roots of x squared plus 14x plus 48? And yes, we do. So we hit enter. And as you can see, it brings up -8 and -6, which is exactly what we got here by hand. X equals -6 or x equals -8. So I'm going to let you, because we have done factoring previously, to use the calculator. So let's go to the next example, and we're going to do it all by calculator. So example 2 says solve by factoring. Before you can put it in the calculator, however, it has to be in standard form. So right here, step 1, we have to get this in standard form, which means we have to get this quadratic equation equal to 0. We want to move the -4 to this side, to the left. The opposite of a negative is a positive, so we're going to add 4 to both sides. And we get 2x squared plus 6x plus 4 equals 0. And now our quadratic equation is in standard form. Once we've done that, if we're going to use our calculator, we go straight to the step and we go to menu. So we're going to come here on our calculator and we're going to type menu. Sorry, guys. And we're going to go to number 3, which is algebra. And then we're going to go 3 again, polynomial tools. And then number 1, because we want to find roots. Remember, roots are the same as the solutions, which are same as the x-intercepts, which are the same as the zeros. So we're going to do 1. Again, we are talking about quadratics, so they will all have a degree of 2. We want all our answers to be real numbers, and we click OK. A sub 2 is the coefficient in front of x squared, which in this case is 2, so we're going to type 2. Click down. A sub 1 is the coefficient in front of x, which is 6, so we're going to hit 6. And finally, a sub 0 is your constant, which in this case is 4, so you type in 4. So you only type in the numbers. Please do not type in the variables. We go to OK. And again, the calculator is double checking. Are you sure you want to find the polynomial roots of 2x squared plus 6x plus 4? And we do. So we hit enter, and it tells us that our roots are -2 and -1. So right here, my solutions are x equals -2 or x equals -1. And that's how you do the factoring on a calculator.